Hello, good afternoon. It's another Friday night in Nakinyuguzi. This is the Nakinyuguzi Chronicles, and of course, my name is Nana Kagga. Yes, quarantine continues, so do the ramblings. I just want to say thank you so much for the reception on the episodes I did on manners and housework and chores. So I just want to say that I hope that we're wakening up and taking stock of what's happening with our children. Now, today, I want to talk about teaching our children their native languages. And by native language, I mean the mother tongue. I just don't know, I can't describe how important speaking your mother tongue is, because your mother tongue is the dominant language, the language you speak from birth, your first language, the home language. You can say the home language and refer to Uganda as a whole, or refer to the region that you come from, or even your particular household. Our native tongues are so important, but they're fading in so many households because colonialism taught us to look down on anything African that included our languages, our cultures, and our religions. And we've taken it a step further and totally abdicated speaking our languages in our household. Njagala mbannyonnyole lwaki you should teach your children to speak their native tongue. For personally, I made a very conscious decision to speak Luganda to my children. Simply because, to me, speaking your mother tongue gives you a sense of pride. It gives you a sense of dignity. Nobody can subjugate you. Nobody can question your identity. Bw'oba oyogera olulimi lwo, sogera ku Luganda lwokka bannange. Tuyigirize abaana baffe ennimi zaffe. Because it is their identity. Omwana tasobola kubanga abeera mu Uganda. Ng'abeera mu maka, bakadde be bombi bava mu kifo kyekimu. Katugambe ne ku kyalo kyekimu. Ng'abaana teboogera nnimi zaabwe. And people have taken to giving you the excuse that they don't want to confuse their children with their native tongue and English, because if a child speaks two languages, they might be confused. Then, you know, with this colonial mentality, some of us have taken it a step further and enrolled our children into German, French, now Chinese, and maybe Mandarin courses. But we refuse to teach them our native tongues. Our native tongues are such a strong currency that if lost will be so hard to retrieve. Omwana bw'otamuyigiriza lulimi lwe, there's so much confusion in them. There's so much confusion in their identity. Kubanga, the other thing is, if you don't speak to your child in their native tongue and they don't speak it, oyagala toyagala, they're going to look down on everything that symbolizes what you represent. And I say that very loosely because through our native tongues is where we transfer our culture in its truth. Simanyi oba muntegeera. I can't explain to my child in English some of the symbolism of our cultural norms and bring truth to it. Simanyi oba muntegeera. Abaana baffe balina okwogera ennimi zaffe because through their languages, their sense of identity is strengthened. Mugenda mugamba abantu in society, omwana wange tayogera Luganda, tayogera Lunyankole, tayogera Lukiga. You are propagating the ideology in your child's head that anybody who doesn't speak English is below them. And contrary to popular belief, let me tell you, speaking English is not a measure of your intellect. It's not a measure of your standing in society. It's not a measure of your wealth. It's not a measure of how far and how learned you've come. It is a sign of someone who's lost, especially if you are of African descent. Our children are struggling as much as possible in this current environment to find a sense of identity. The Western culture has encroached so much. Colonialism has taken away. It's stripped us of our sense of identity. But there's a new wave of Pan-Africanism where we're fighting to take back our cultural norms. Empisa zaffe n'ennono zaffe. Bwe tutazuukuka mu kaseera kano, kubanga you can have the excuse that I don't have the time to spend with my child. I'm always really busy. I've got a really stressful job, and by the time I batter traffic to get home, I don't have time to speak to my child in my native tongue. Which I've had someone say to me, which to me that shows is that you've abdicated parenting. So if you don't speak to your child in your native tongue, ne mufuna omukozi ng'omukozi tayogera luzungu, abaana bagenda mulinyirira. And that will transfer on and on to anybody that they meet that does not speak the English language. Because you as a parent have told them that everything that they represent, their bloodline, their ancestry, their culture, their language, is not worthy. Omwana mugenda ne mmutuuma nampi oba ne mbatuuma amannya g'ekika. Omwana n'atuuka mu bantu nga tasobola kwogera Luganda. And some people are proud. Some people are really proud of that, and it's fascinating. Because let me give you an example. When I was in boarding school in the UK, being in a school where there were very few black people, it always raised the question of who you were, what you're prepared to put up with, what you are prepared to leave behind, what you're prepared to adapt to, and how far you're willing to go to be accepted by these people that had no idea where you came from. And knowing who I was, nze naabatereganga taata wange bwe yantuuma muzzukulu wa Ssekabaka Kiggala Ddambwe. Nga ngenda ne ntunuulira ebintu ebimu ne ngamba, you know what, abeewaffe banaawulira batya? Banaalaba batya? Banaakiwulira batya nti nze naabaterega nze nakoze ekyo? By saying this to myself in Luganda, it had power. Now, there's always a loss of, I would call it, strength in translation, because you cannot take Luganda and fully translate it into English. Ennono zaffe tetusobola zituukiriza bulungi ng'ozoogera mu Luzungu. And it is important. It doesn't matter if you live in Uganda. It doesn't matter if you're in the diaspora. Teach your children their language, because through it they get a sense of identity. It's so, so important that we do that. We're actually shortchanging them by letting them propagate the English language as their first language. Africa is no longer the dark continent that people wanted so much to believe. We are actually a powerful people. A very powerful people. And how can we pass that on to the next generation so that they don't feel like second-class citizens in this global world we're living in? By talking to them in their languages. And through their languages, you then tell them about their ancestry, their bloodlines, their culture. It's so important. And the worst part about it, I'll tell you this, it's a pet peeve of mine. Osanga abantu nga wasoma nabo nga mwakula mwenna. Ng'omumanyi empisa ze ne gye mwayitira. Naye ng'abaana be teboogerera ddala kigambo n'eki eky'Oluganda, tebafukamira. Tebalina kwegamba, tebalina any sense of culture or identity or being, and these kids are running around because they don't have any sense of identity and culture and language. They're running around flitting about with no sense of direction, because if you don't know who you are, how do you know where you're going? And I think it's time. The ideology that's been passed on to us that everything African is substandard and it's embarrassing is so, so important that we take that narrative away. We take it away, and we take it away with strength. Abaana abamu olw'okuba teboogera nnimi zaabwe, abaana, they're so embarrassed about your relatives, because your relatives, not all of us speak English. You know, you get relatives that come to visit, and your child will laugh because this person cannot speak English. In essence, your child is belittling your relatives, and we think it is okay. They belittle the maid, they belittle the shamba boy, they belittle the driver. They belittle a person at school that sweeps because they don't speak English. So they'll go through life believing that everything European and Western is what is important. I just wanted to share that. And in other news, the American oil price crashed. And that was my daughter, and I don't know why she actually just walked in, even hearing me speak. But at least she knocked. Did you see that? She knocked. But anyway, in other news, so the American oil price per barrel, the Brent oil price crashed. Again, the juicy bits keep coming. And if you've been following the trend in oil prices, the Saudis and the Russians have been flooding the oil market, literally to bring the prices down. And now America doesn't know what to do with this oil. According to Bloomberg, it crashed to, was it $0 per barrel? That was about a week ago. One wonders where this whole saga is going. I don't know if it's a result of COVID. Today, I just read that Virgin Atlantic in Australia had actually basically crashed. It's closed its doors. It's gone into receivership. Now, that's not funny. 16,000 people in Australia are out of jobs. That should wake all of us up. Anyway, it's Friday night in Nakinyuguzi, and thank you so much for listening to me again, and the ramblings will continue on Tuesday next week. Please do tune in. Bannange quarantine. Kyatukola ne leero nsazeo kalipstick kalina okubaako. Have a beautiful evening, my people.